Okay, so let's talk a little bit about how to transition between one subpoint or subtopic and another subpoint or subtopic. So, to keep this very straightforward at the beginning, let's pretend that we are presenting an informational speech. An informational speech is a speech in which you are just teaching someone something, telling someone something, giving them information about a topic. In this case, our topic will be George Washington. Now, within the context of our speech, let's say that we are attempting to transition from subpoint A, regarding his early life and childhood, to subpoint B, which would be his role in the American Revolution. Now, if you remember, a transition is like a signpost. It's like a street sign. It tells us where we've been, and it tells us where we are going. And having very clear transitions is important so your audience can keep up with you as you are speaking and don't become lost. So, were I to transition and make a very direct transition between these two subpoints, I may say something like, now that we've discussed A, I'd like to transition to talking about B. This is not a hidden transition. As you become more fluent and you become more comfortable, you will be able to hide your transitions, make them more fluid. But in this case, I want very obvious transitions from you. So let's say, now that we've discussed George Washington's early life and childhood and spoken about the way that his early experiences influenced the man that he would become, I'd like to transition now to talking about that man's role in the American Revolution. You can also transition using a rhetorical question. So we've discussed A in some detail, we've talked about A in some detail, but what about B in this case? So we've talked about George Washington's early life and his childhood in some detail, but now let's transition to the topic that we are most concerned about today, his role in the American Revolution. All right, so that was an informational speech transition, but you are giving a persuasive argument. So let's give a persuasive argument. So in this case, let's pretend that my topic is universal healthcare in America, and that my persuasive goal is to convince everyone that healthcare should be free. Healthcare should be free for everyone, regardless of income, regardless of status. Okay, so let's say that subpoint or subtopic A for my argument, the first piece of my argument states that the health insurance industry is both predatory and unnecessary. It preys upon people who are vulnerable, and it is unnecessary because health insurance as a concept is not as, what's the word I'm looking for? It doesn't make as much sense as a universal system. So if I want to transition from subpoint A to subpoint B, which is that healthcare costs are extreme and prevent people from seeking care, how do I do that? Well, I could do it something like this. If I'm being very direct, I could say, we've talked about how the health insurance industry is both predatory and unnecessary, but that's not the only reason that universal healthcare should be the standard. Healthcare costs in America are extreme and prevent people from seeking care. In that case, I addressed subpoint A, what we had talked about, and then I transitioned into subpoint B, what's coming next. Let's do it a different way. We've spoken about the health insurance industry, how it is both predatory and unnecessary. But what other reasons are there that healthcare should be universal? Well, healthcare costs are extreme and prevent people from seeking care. So in that case, I used a rhetorical question to transition from subpoint A to subpoint B. There are lots of ways that you can transition from one subpoint to another subpoint. And whenever you craft your outline, I expect you to fully write out transitions, as you can see on the example outline that you were given. This is helpful because when I overlook your outlines, when I look over your outlines, I should say, I can help you craft grammatically appropriate transitions that are grammatically correct. So if you have any questions about transitions, see me.